It was just a bunch of Wonder Bread, me bouncing the ball in the backyard. He's just straight up hustling. Like, what? Gavin Newsom out on the corner.
The guy, you said it. He's a lizard person. He is the embodiment of what is today's Democratic Party. They believe in nothing.
Guys like Gavin Newsom, who entertained the common sense of a person like Charlie Kirk for about 30 seconds, and now fast forward to today and they're back on, anti-woke stuff. That's really just racism against black people.
Our nation is standing up for American workers, restoring the pride of making products here at home. That's what we do every day. We're America's beverage companies, making American products with American workers in America's hometowns, delivering brands that have been enjoyed for generations, creating good-paying jobs, the kind that require only a strong work ethic. Because we believe in the promise of America and the people who make it great.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs.
It's time for our main event.
Good Tuesday to you. Welcome back to the Ruthless Variety program. We are 1 week away from these critical off-year elections in New Jersey and Virginia, which is why we have Glenn Youngkin on the program to talk an awful lot about that. We've noticed some splits in a coalition dealing with the Democrats' government shutdown. We're going to get to that. And then we've got a whole lot more. I am Josh Holmes, along with Comfortably Smug, Michael Duncan, and John Ashbrook, left to right across your radio dial, as always. Fellas, this is going to be a real banger. Got some great interviews, got some great stuff. The way we like to start when there's so much content available is just examining what it is the Democrats are sending us. Because this is just an embarrassment of riches, and I know we've talked about this a lot in the last couple of weeks, but if you just pay attention, even tangentially, to politics these days, the things that they say and do, if you can't laugh at them, you can't laugh at anything. I want to start in some ways with Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
Because, boy, oh boy, fellas. Boy, oh boy, this guy, let's just play clip one and get right into it.
But also, it was also about paying the bills, man. And it was just like hustling. And so I was out there kind of raising myself, turning on the TV, started, just getting obsessed, sitting there with the Wonder Bread and 5 stacks of,
hey, it's like the White Stack Five story.
Come on. Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Bro. Are you talking about me?
Young YG.
YG, man.
Every day in the backyard, just bouncing the basketball.
Okay.
Throwing the ball against the wall until the ball is just like fraying, man. And your arms fall
yourself.
off. That's it. Whole thing. So just, and then, then this student that was shitty student is in the back with his head down, all of a sudden started throwing the baseball a little faster than everyone else. And started, make a few free throws because I was sitting there practicing 500 of them every damn night. And in high school, I look up in the stands, my dad's back up there.
Okay.
Dude.
There's pandering and then there's pandering.
Dude, that is the most embarrassing shit ever. Rich-ass Gavin Newsom acting like 8 Mile is his life story. He's like, I was just hustling. I'm watching TV and having Wonder Bread and, bro. That is the most embarrassing shit I have seen in a very long time.
It was a combination of a bunch of things. Like, one, oh man, just like you, I was dirt poor, all that. And then he was like, somehow fashioned himself into a professional athlete by the end of it. And like, what? So, like, I don't know. It doesn't take much more than a Google search to be like, I don't. So, what was he? I don't know. Let's check out graphic 1. Okay. Well, Newsom was featured in a 1991 San Francisco Chronicle article entitled "Children of the Rich."
That was the actual title.
That was the actual title. Children of the Rich.
Straight up, dude.
Yeah.
Wonder Bread
and for your audio-only listeners, what you see him doing there is standing on some kind of an open doorway or a porch of such. with a couple of waspy, I would say 4 waspy-looking gentlemen in
Bro,
ties.
it's from an article. It's not a Brooks Brothers catalog. You might be mistaken. Like, this is the most ridiculous thing. This guy he has deep ties to the Getty family, which is essentially the old money family of California.
Billionaire media family.
That's the So for him to act like he was like, it was just a bunch of Wonder Bread, me bouncing the ball in the backyard. He said straight up hustling. Like, what? Gavin Newsom out on the corner.
Shooting free throws.
What is he talking
When
about?
in
dude?
reality, he's riding down a hill in the backyard on Rosebud with Citizen Kane.
Made it sound like he was crossing over Stefan Marbury at the Rucker Park.
Right? He's like, I'm playing midnight basketball, like trying not to get shot. What are you talking about, dude?
You're just giving it up. All right, so look at graphic 2. Look at graphic 2 of this guy. All right, this is a high school, this is a yearbook photo.
That's not a basketball in
That's
his
a
hand.
Burberry scarf wrapped around a sport coat and shirt.
He won most stylish senior.
I'm
just like, dude, that's pathetic.
looking
in itself.
very not poor.
It on the contrary, it looks like he probably carried a briefcase to high school.
It's just incredible. But like that wasn't enough, fellas. It wasn't enough. Like that would have been a great just shut it down, Gavin Newsom, we'll move on to another Democrat. But we can't leave this stuff out. Look at clip 2.
You got the Supreme Court talking about getting rid of the Voting Rights Act, and that's very real.
Yeah.
That may likely happen in just a matter of months. I mean, they're rewriting history, censoring historical facts. It's a unbelievable moment. All this anti-woke stuff is just anti-black. Period, full stop.
Period,
All the
full
CRT,
stop.
ESG, DEI stuff, that's all this is. It's this great
interesting.
purge, and it's happening in real time, and I'm sitting here, and I feel like, luckily I'm governor, but like we're not doing enough. Right. We're not calling this out. We're not drawing a line here. And again, it's not about Democrats or Republicans. It's about who we've
Right and wrong.
man. Yeah,
Right and
right
wrong.
and goddamn wrong. Daylight and darkness.
Oh yeah, right, goddamn wrong. Daylight and darkness. Dude, so like if you look at the way that this guy is governed, there's some consistency there. It's the reinvention that's the problem. Remember, after the decisive results of the 2024 election, he launched his podcast.
Right.
And when he launched his podcast, he decided to invite a whole bunch of noteworthy conservatives on to give him an external point of view on where the Democratic Party has gone wrong. Perhaps where even things that he has said may have hit not the right notes with a center-right constituency. So he invited people on like Charlie Kirk. And like this is what he had to say.
But then it was the extension of all of what we would call woke stuff.
Right.
And,
Defund police.
Yeah, I mean, Minneapolis literally had to hold a special vote saying, like, should we still have a police department?
Yeah, that was lunacy.
You asked the question, what did wokeism look like?
Yeah.
Prop 16 in California that would have had legalized racial discrimination.
That was not a major. There was a broader national
I know,
narrative.
but I'm just bringing it home to you because there were hundreds of such ballot referendums, right?
Yeah. Okay.
There was, city council meetings where they said the white people aren't allowed here, right?
And that's not good.
No, it's not good.
Stuff, yeah.
And so what
hates that stuff.
ends
that
up
kind of
happening
stuff.
is a broader question of sensible, not racist suburban moms that are like, wait a second. I have a 8-year-old white son. Are you trying to say he's a racist?
Yeah.
And it creates a backlash
Totally get it.
that then bubbles up, right?
I appreciate the perspective. And I appreciate not just the perspective. I totally appreciate what you just said as an explicit statement of fact. To make an 8-year-old feel like they're racist is absurd.
He is such like a lizard person, dude. Like he has no feelings. He doesn't believe in anything. For him to instantly, like a chameleon, change his whole beliefs and everything. He's like, oh, I guess the story from this election result is the woke stuff is gone. He's like, no, but like, no, really, I appreciate what you're saying. And to make an 8-year-old feel like they're a racist. What do you think all your DEI policies were doing, dude? You like flip on a dime. He has no core.
He's
he
with
has
a
no serious
conservative.
beliefs.
He's with a serious conservative.
Yeah.
And he's filling in the blanks. He's saying like, oh, like defund the police. We're like, yeah, like that. And then you fast forward 8 months and you're like, the woke stuff that we were talking about 8 months ago. And he's like, yeah, well, that's just anti-black.
Yep.
Right.
It's remarkable.
And not for nothing, but Charlie Kirk in that interview with him was talking just basic common sense facts, and he got assassinated for it.
Yeah,
right?
right.
And now you got guys like Gavin Newsom who entertained the common sense of a person like Charlie Kirk for about 30 seconds, and now fast forward to today and they're back on, anti-woke stuff. That's really just racism against black people. And also I love how he threw in ESG in there. Like black Americans really benefit a ton from, hedge funds, investing in green energy scams. Unbelievable.
Urban community is long felt as though we should have a lighter carbon footprint in corporate America in terms of our investing decisions at $1 billion rate. No question. I mean, dude, the guy, you said it. He's a lizard person. He is the embodiment of what is today's Democratic Party. They believe in nothing. They have to get out in front of movements that they don't understand and pretend like they're leading it. And then as soon as they're confronted by the reality of the American people, they are more than happy to double back and disavow all of that right up until they do an interview with some people who disagree with the previous position rather than the current one.
That's it, dude. That's why excuse me, that's why they're getting pulled around by this radicalized grassroots, is because they have no leadership.
That's it. And we've been talking about it here for like 3 months. And if there's one staple that we can just like inject into this that is underpinning of all of the Democratic Party, it is the lack of leadership, a profound lack of imagination, a profound lack of interest in what helps the American people. They have no new ideas. It's about just outsourcing that to a bunch of like Ivy League professors that have somehow galvanized a bunch of people who are disaffected or young or idealistic and they don't know anything about how to live a successful American life. And they try to get in front of it. And that is the basis of the Democratic Party. And the spokesperson for all of that, Karine Jean-Pierre, I think is what you had to say.
Yes.
For many, many years.
Yeah, she has a new book out about her years in the Biden administration. I think it's called Independent or something. And this is her brave way of talking about the future of the Democratic Party.
Yeah, she's left the Democratic Party, made it very clear that it's basically just because they were mean to her boss.
To her boss.
Right?
It wasn't because they didn't have any ideas or like, I don't know, Biden ate shit, Kamala ate shit.
No, it wasn't like she was like, oh, maybe we went too far left and we like bankrupt the American people with inflation and stuff like that. No, that was all good. The reason I'm an independent is because you were mean to my boss.
Yeah.
And by extension, me.
But it's
I hate to answer
and
questions.
also because like his administration failed so hard, she had no exit opportunities. There's no corporate job for her.
Independent I am.
Yeah.
But it's
She's like, guess it's a book.
It's led to like a kind of a hostile homecoming on the book tour circuit.
Yeah, it has.
And that media expects to maybe, I don't know, answer some of those questions.
Let's take a look at clip 4.
Karine, do you have any regrets at all for anything that you said while you were speaking on behalf of this administration?
Look.
It's a simple yes or no. You don't even know.
No, because you're asking for a yes or no question. I want to put some context to it too. I woke up every day. I woke up every day very proud to be the White House press secretary. I woke up every day as a Black woman who is queer, who no one had ever seen someone like me at that podium standing behind that lectern. It was an honor and a privilege to have that job. And I did it to the best of my abilities.
When I hear a response like that, I can't help but think to myself, independent.
Bro, like, what was even the question? Like, because she's got the same answer to every question. I was the first Black woman who was queer, and they're like, okay, so what'd you have for breakfast this morning? So I was the first Black woman here. It's like, this is what you get when you turn a job that has qualifications and responsibilities into, Well, let's see. Who's up next and who can we tick the most boxes
It's the same thing as the Gavin Newsom stuff. There's a vacancy to all of it. There's no introspection.
you're
Even
right, dude.
now, after all of the failure in Biden and Kamala and everything, there's not a lick of introspection. It all just goes back to the talking points on identity in order to paper over all of the failure.
And it's so vacant that she can't even answer a question to underlie the point of the book. The book is called Independent, and she can't even say, like, what she's actually independent of. There was somebody who was critical of her book over the weekend and talked about, like, tried to find where she declared her independence, and it was like, we need to do more outside of the box thinking.
Yeah, it was all cliches.
It was all cliched.
Yeah.
And, like, there is nothing about her that is remotely inspiring.
But again,
it just
another-
she lies.
Another data point in what is today's Democratic Party. Like the vacancy, the shape shifting, the pretending as though there's not a report card on the 4 years that she was presiding over the front lines of the Biden administration. I don't know. You spent 3 years assuring the American people that your guy was up to the job, and the first time he had an hour on television, he shit the bed so bad you had to get the vice president involved.
That's exactly right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that would have been top of mind for me as things that I would have been regretful about.
Yeah.
Not KJP, no question. But not to be outdone, Kamala, clip 5.
You write that President Biden didn't raise his frailty with you, and you write that you didn't really raise it with him. That's extraordinary to read in your account.
Well,
Is it because
let's
you
be
were...
more precise. There is a very serious difference between capacity to be president of the United States and the capacity to run for president of the United States. And so it is on that latter piece that I talk about in the book, about my concern about his ability with the level of endurance, energy that it requires, especially running against now the current president.
But isn't it a strange message to the public to say, you know what, you need to be tougher and more able to run a political campaign than actually to be the person behind the desk in the Oval Office, to be the person making decisions in the Situation Room? So did you just not think it was that bad, or did you feel you just couldn't raise it?
I was concerned about his ability to run for re-election.
She's just right
given
back to the
what
talking
the
point.
campaign would require.
Dude, that's mind blowing. That's mind blowing. She put that out there. That's crazy. She said straight up, well, you see, it's a lot tougher to be out there on the campaign trail. The auto pen works just fine. Like, I know. We could have let the auto pen run and things were going great. But then the American people saw this dude is old and he's a zombie, bro. Like, there's no two ways to it. He's a brain dead zombie.
Once you're president, you just hire a bunch of people who used to work for Elizabeth Warren, and they take care of everything for you. You just show up at the photo ops. That's all you do. It's easy.
It's like
the British was like, I want to clarify. Did you just say you could be just a zombie as a president, but it's when you have to go on the campaign trail, it gets tough, and people find out about this shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's exactly what I said.
She like realized about 2/3 into the cross-examination that she lifted the hood a little further than she should. So she was like trying her best to get that sucker back down. But you're right. I mean, what her conclusion, like, oh, no, you don't understand. Like, he wakes up, I don't know, between 10 and 11, we feed him some pudding. We get the other people that are doing some work. Got to take a picture of him sort of like slow walk. We'll say he got bit by the dog. And that's the day. That's what we do. It's not that hard. Running.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a trick.
Did you notice she said, especially when he's running against the now current president, she's willing to admit nobody campaigns as hard as Trump.
Yeah.
Because that dude has an insane schedule. We're seeing it in real time right now where it's like, I think today he just hit 3 different countries.
Yeah.
Like, she admitted when she's like, especially when you're running against the now current president, because like no one out campaigns.
Don't you love that she can't say his name?
Yeah, she can't, dude.
She can't say
They
Trump.
are that hurt. They are that hurt. They gave her $1.5 billion and she still blew it.
It's one of the greatest gifts he's given us.
It's amazing.
So we had to start with a little encapsulation of what is today's Democratic Party. We're going to get to the shutdown dynamics, but not before we get to an incredible interview after the break with the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, on what is to be of next week's elections right after this.
America's demand for energy is rising rapidly, and at a time when American families can least afford an energy shortage. But for decades, critical energy projects have been blocked, limiting our access to reliable, affordable American energy and putting America's energy dominance at risk. The solution is obvious. Overhaul the broken energy permitting process. Make it faster and simpler. Innovation, a strong workforce, abundant oil and gas. We have it all right here in the USA. Let's put America first and political agendas last. We can power our own country, create thousands of good-paying American jobs, and unleash American energy to be bigger and better than ever before. Because when America builds, America wins. Read API's plan to secure America's future at permittingreformnow.org. Paid for by the American Petroleum Institute.
Alzheimer's doesn't start when the memory fades. It can begin decades earlier, quietly in the brain. Science is advancing to better fight this disease. New tools can help doctors detect Alzheimer's early, when we have the best chance to slow it down. Early detection means more time, more birthdays, more anniversaries, more moments that matter. Let's act sooner, not later. Learn more at pfcdalz.org. Paid for by the Partnership to Fight Chronic Disease.
It is an absolute privilege to welcome in my governor, Duncan's governor, and Ashbrook's governor, the great Governor Glenn Youngkin. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. It's awesome to be sitting here with the fellas.
Oh.
And so thank you. I got to tell you, when we were together in Milwaukee and had such a great time at the most unbelievable convention, that was just awesome. And I love the fact I get to be in your offices and in your studios. So thanks for making time for me. I just want to say, you guys are killing it. It's really fun to see everyone really appreciate what you do. You bring incredible insights. On top of that, you guys have fun. And I think that's what work's all about. Work's about doing something really important, but having fun while you're doing it.
Cal, after that intro, I feel like I just wish I could vote for him again. Of course.
You can vote for Winsome.
Yes, you can vote for Winsome.
We got to get out and vote for Winsome and John Reed and Jason Miyares and whoever your delegate is. And if there's anybody else on that ballot that got an R next to the name, vote for it.
Yep. No, we're going to get into all that because it's obviously we're in close proximity to an election that matters an awful lot, not only for the Commonwealth of Virginia, but the whole nation. Everybody extrapolates out lessons as they did with you in 2021 about a whole Republican resurgence, a rejection of far left code policies and Joe Biden and everything else. And so we're here again. But let's just start with the fact that Virginia's got this weird thing where, you can only serve 4 years and you got to leave, which is just like we're dying because we felt like you just got there. You've done such great things. Have a look at Virginia in and of itself and all the things that you were able to accomplish with your team over the first 4 years. Like, where do you think things sit?
Well, first of all, we came in with huge aspirations, and I have to say we've kind of blown through them all.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's with divided government. And, I've never had a General Assembly that was really with me. And most of the time they fight against me. And yet, we started out saying, first of all, we got to get this whole state moving from a jobs and economic standpoint. We just crossed over $143 billion of commitments from companies to expand and grow in Virginia. It's more than the last 5 governors combined. And I think it really reflects the basic building blocks. One, we've deregulated like crazy. And when I came in, I signed an executive order to eliminate 25% of the regs in Virginia. And everybody said, why 25%? And I said, well, it's more than 15. I mean, I didn't know how we were going to do it, but I knew we could. And we're just cresting through 30% of the regulations in Virginia that have been streamlined or eliminated. And that saves Virginians $1.2 billion a year.
Unbelievable.
And when you deregulate and you create a pro-business environment, then businesses want to come because we got great talent. I mean, we've got 120 to 130,000 military heroes every year that transition from active duty to build their lives in Virginia. It's the best workforce in the country. And then on top of that, we're business friendly. And by the way, you get to live in Virginia. I mean, it's really awesome. And so we've just seen huge investment, huge job growth. There's 277,000 more people working today than when we started. We've got over 200,000 open and available jobs. And the $140 billion underpins another 85,000 jobs. And by the way, 40,000 construction jobs. jobs.
I mean, that's a lot of numbers.
And so anybody wants a job, come to Virginia. In fact, you can go to virginiahasjobs.com and find one because we're recruiting folks from all over the country. Come to Virginia and get jobs.
Virginia's for lovers. It's also for jobs.
It's for jobs.
Yeah.
It's for jobs.
Smug, it's almost like this guy knows finances.
Well, that's the thing is, I would say the main takeaway from your 4 years, and it's felt like 4 months, honestly. I'm stunned to think.
It felt like 4 minutes. I mean, it seems like just yesterday.
It's because like you've been just like a locomotive of job creation. Your policies have created so many jobs, but also you've been like the #1 advocate for the state of Virginia. Like even when we were at the convention, you're like, well, you know, this year we beat North Carolina. We're the #1 state for business in the country, and that's clearly had an impact in the world.
He's also like shit-talking other governors, which is great. He's like, hey, you know what? You can get a better deal in Virginia. We watched it firsthand. It's fantastic.
Listen, it's competitive.
Yeah.
We're in the SEC of economic development. I mean, we just are. You know, I got to deal with Tennessee and North Carolina and South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Texas, and now you see Oklahoma coming on strong, and Arkansas and Louisiana and Mississippi. I mean, these places are competing like crazy, and you got to win.
Yeah.
And if you don't win, then guess what? These big investments go someplace else. The jobs go with them and opportunity goes with them. And I think that's what first and foremost Virginia now is known for, is a great place to do business. You know, the big issue we've got, of course, is at the foundation of it is we're a right-to-work state, which means you're not forced to join a union, and you don't have to join a union to get a job. And on top of that, then you can't be forced to take money out of your paycheck and give it to the union bosses. And that's been huge. You know, this election, we'll talk more about it, but Abigail Spanberger, who's the Democrat nominee who refuses to disavow Jay Jones, and we'll talk about that as well, but she is an advocate for getting rid of right to work in Virginia. And let me just tell you, the huge success that we have had will go away. I mean, businesses will stop coming, and they'll just go to Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Texas, other places, because they can. And I think this is the big aha moment for, I think, a lot of Democrats. When I say to them, hey, by the way, people don't have to live here. They can move away if they want. And businesses don't have to be here. They can move away if they want. And so we've got to recruit them and keep them. And if we're raising taxes and cities are violent and schools are teaching kids what to think as opposed to how to think, I mean, it drives people away. And if we create an environment that is great for people to live and work and raise a family and build a business, they'll come. And it's just that simple.
Pretty simple.
How about that? More customers, better business, fewer customers, you go bankrupt.
So on Abigail Spanberger, I watched that debate, and I mean, it was one of the most cowardly debates I've ever seen, and I've seen many. But Abigail Spanberger is sort of playing like a prevent defense in all of her response to these things. And I think the one thing that really enraged me was on the executive order that you passed protecting women's locker rooms and women's sports in the state of Virginia, which thank you. You know, she was asked directly this question about, I believe it was the Richard Cox case. And, you know, her mealy-mouthed response was basically to not commit to anything and say, well, you know, we're just going to, you know, local communities are going to figure this thing out. And I wonder, you know, what's your reaction to that as somebody who's had to be, you know, the governor for the last 4 years and try to protect women's places in Virginia, that somebody who might come in to be governor next would undo all of that?
Well, it starts with I was not surprised because she doesn't have a moral compass. And so she doesn't really know what she believes. She's just going to say whatever she needs to say in order to try to get elected. Let me tell you what she believes, because I've gotten in an argument with her over it, which is she does believe that biological boys and men should be in locker rooms with girls. She believes they should be on their sports teams. And she believes that parents should not be told when their children are starting to have discussions about, you know, am I a girl or a boy? That's what she believes. And she doesn't want to say it because she knows that that's one of those, you know, Reagan-like issues, find an 80-20 issue and stand next to it and smile. And she's on the wrong side of it. And so she's just not going to tell you the truth, which is that's what she believes. And one of the things she has already said she will do is undo my executive order, which protects girls. And to parents in Virginia, I keep saying, if you believe in the safety and, by the way, the dignity and the privacy of your daughter and oftentimes your son, because they've been pursuing these boys in Loudoun County who simply said, I don't want a girl in the locker room with me, then you've got to vote for Winsome Sears and you got to vote against Abigail Spanberger. It's just that simple. I mean, we've been battling this for 4 years.
Totally.
And as much as I wish as a governor I could literally issue a dictate that says this, there's a lot of authority at the local school level. And so we have to have a governor, an attorney general, and a lieutenant governor. And by the way, a House of Delegates that works with us all the time in order to keep the pressure up on those localities. And we got a lot of pressure on them now because the president has been working directly with us. And let me tell you, we've gotten more done with this White House in the last 8 months than I did 3 years with the other guys. All they did was sue me.
Yeah, right.
And President Trump and the whole team have been amazing. And here we are working hard in order to protect girls, protect women's sports, to make sure we get DEI out of our universities. And they've been fabulous partners. But this is what we have to keep doing. Otherwise, if Abigail Spanberger's in, she's going to flip it right back to where we were. And all of a sudden, you're going to see more of these Richard Cox fellows running through the girls' locker rooms.
So I want to ask you a little bit about the race, because as you know, Virginia has been a difficult state for Republicans to win statewide over the last decade or so. You changed that trend. I mean, you are the guy who stood up and showed leadership and actually won in the state of Virginia. And I'm wondering two things. One, if you could handicap these races for us a little bit that we're going to be seeing decided on November 4th. And two, if you have any advice for these candidates who are running.
Well, the advice side, they hear from me every day. We're talking and campaigning all the time. And, you know, the backdrop here is twofold. First, Virginia is very purple, if not purplish blue. And so in order to win, you've just got to lose Northern Virginia less badly, bottom line. You got to break even in Greater Richmond. You got to break even in Hampton Roads, and you got to blow it out in our red counties. And that's the formula. Now, what that means is that we've got to go grab issues that, of course, middle voters care about. And let me tell you, middle voters care deeply about their pocketbooks right now. And what we, of course, seen during the Biden administration was inflation go through the roof. I mean, literally the highest inflation since Ronald Reagan. And folks felt it. And so the president's been working hard to reduce inflation. And I think, listen, I think gas prices are as low as they've been in literally years right now. And we're working hard to get grocery prices down. I think other than beef and bananas and avocados.
I love that he's got it
he knows.
Right. At the end of the day, we're seeing inflation come down at the grocery store. Although, listen, prices are still high. And so that's why, as a governor, you've got to go to work and get taxes down on people. That is our big, big lever, and get electric bills down. And so we've had $9 billion of tax relief during the last 4 years. I'm going to say that again, $9 billion of tax relief.
Number.
We got rid of the grocery tax. We doubled the standard deduction. Listen, for our vets who we love, we said, hey, listen, up to $40,000 of your retirement benefits, we're just not going to tax it because we want you to stay here, not go to North Carolina and other places.
In a big vet state.
Yeah, it matters. But electric bills are a big deal. And the Democrat strategy here is to force everybody to love wind and solar, to put at risk the lights when they're going to come on, and watch electric bills go through the roof. And that's exactly what they're going to do. I mean, she's going to put Virginia right back into this regional greenhouse gas initiative, which I took us out of, which immediately saved folks right off of their electricity bill about $100 a year. She's going to drive the Virginia Clean Economy Act even further in, which forces everything to be wind or solar. And let me tell you, that doesn't work. It just does not work. And it's one of our big challenges as the economy grows so fast. And so cost of living is a huge issue that we have been winning on, and we need to continue to talk about it. Second big issue is public safety. Abigail Spanberger wants to make Virginia a sanctuary state. She just does. She said it. I have an executive order that instructs our state police and our Department of Corrections and all localities to collaborate with the federal authorities. This is critically important, and it's worked. I mean, we were basically the template for the Virginia Homeland Security Task Force. And we worked, and right out of the box, we started arresting these violent criminals here illegally. We found the number 3 guy at MS-13 living in Prince William County, just living there. I mean, this is what we got to do. And it's crazy that she wants to back us out of this and tell everybody we're going to be a sanctuary state. Come on, live here. And then finally, we've got to keep driving education. And the reality is the Democrats want to dumb it all down. And the soft bigotry of low expectations is real. It hurts the students that can afford it the least, which is to let them skate by and pretend like they're proficient in reading and math and these things. And when they shut down all the schools during the pandemic, which I got to tell you, the long-lasting impact of that is still being felt as Virginia led the nation in learning loss. And I came in and we went to work. We raised expectations of excellence. We changed a lot of our standards. We put in intense tutoring. We led the nation in getting the kids back in the classrooms and reducing chronic absenteeism. And guess what? We made the test harder and then worked with the students, and they did better. And so they want to undo all of this. And at the end of the day, that will undo Virginia. And that's why this election is so important. Now you ask where we stand. Listen, Miyares is up. And Jay Jones and his desire to put 2 bullets in our former Speaker of the House's head and kill his kids and to watch cops die, it's not only disqualifying, it's bringing down the rest of their ticket while they're at it.
Can I just stop you on that? I mean, so, look, before you won, I think even your critics took a look at your candidacy in 2021 and they said, I don't know, I'm a Democrat or whatever, but he's a profoundly decent human being. And there was a whole bunch of your message into that campaign before you sort of caught fire with the COVID component, the education component, the economic component, where people were like reluctantly admitting the fact that, like, if you're looking for a politics that best represents who we are, even if I'm not going to vote for the guy, a guy like Glenn Youngkin is that person who's just talking about issues and trying to help people. When you fast forward to today and you see something like what Jay Jones has said, and this isn't just unearthing like high school texts that are objectionable. This is a political opponent as a grown adult that he's wishing death to the children of and murder. Help contextualize for me, like, how does this happen in today's politics? And I know you've been outspoken about this guy's got to get the heck out of here. But when you see Abigail Spanberger not able to answer that question, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that's the question I keep asking myself, which is just how far lost is the Democratic Party?
Yeah.
Just so lost. I mean, you first see the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and so many people on the left still celebrating it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's wild.
Have you talked to your parents about the way you're behaving? Where did you grow up?
Right.
I mean, how could you possibly believe that? And then you see the calls for violence. I mean, Abigail Spanberger has been marching around the state saying, let your rage fuel you. I mean, let your rage fuel you? To do what? What does that mean? And so you end up with this clear grounding in the Democrat Party that violence, as long as it doesn't inconvenience them, they'll condemn. But if it inconveniences them, then they're just going to turn their cheek the other direction. And that's unbelievable.
It's a lack of leadership.
Oh, it's crazy. Right? Where is your moral compass? And this is what I keep saying. She doesn't have one. It's just spinning, whatever she needs to say. It'd be so easy for her to say, listen, I believe in what the Democrat Attorney General should stand for, but you know what? This guy has disqualified himself, and I'm sorry he can't run. I can't vote for him. Yeah. Now she's got all these people coming to town because they see this race really tighten it up.
Obama.
And listen, Jason's ahead, and Winsome's closing the gap. And depending on the poll, she's still a bit behind, but the gap has closed substantially. And she's got to run hard here down the stretch. But we still have this strong momentum running into 10 days. I always think about it like a NASCAR race. And, you see sometimes, Denny Hamlin, I'm going to be cheering for him on Sunday when we're down in Martinsville. But, he often comes up the outside, and you're like, is he going to get it? Is he going to get it? Is he going to get it? And that's kind of where Winsome is right now. John Reed is effectively tied. And we're seeing a lot of our House seats that really are starting to look even better for us. But we got to finish, and this is what it's all about. And so, first of all of these folks are coming in to support Abigail because they know that the pendulum is swinging. And I think every single one of them should be asked a basic question. Do you support Jay Jones? Do you support his candidacy? And if you're not willing to say you don't, what are you doing here?
Right.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? Right. And that question should be asked of Governor Wes Moore, who's coming, and Josh Shapiro, who's coming from Pennsylvania, and of course, former President Obama. What do you think about Jay Jones? And my sense is that they just can't bring themselves to buck the deep left state that has demanded that they support this guy, notwithstanding the fact that everybody in America knows that this is an abomination of what moral character is all about.
And that's the thing, is it's across the board at all levels. Like, you used to have President Obama considered in this like rarefied air of, oh, he's just an incredibly dignified figure. And then you see, like, on Pod Save, his whole group of people, they had that guy with neo-Nazi tattoos on.
Yeah.
They won't disavow him. And then you saw Josh Stein coming. His governor's mansion was firebombed by a leftist. Shapiro. His governor's mansion was firebombed by a leftist. And none of them are willing to admit this is a horrendous problem in the Democrat Party. When Abigail says that, I want you to channel your rage, they're drawing on that violent rhetoric and that sentiment.
I know. That's it, because they can't win on policy. Let's just be real. So let's talk about economic development, job creation. Well, listen, we've demonstrated that common sense conservatism wins and it delivers. Oh, let's talk about law enforcement. Wait a minute. We need more cops on the street, and we need to make sure we hold people accountable when they break the law. And by the way, if you're breaking the law and you're here illegally, you're going back to where you came from. And by the way, Virginia's had a 33% reduction in murders just in the last 2 years.
Amazing.
We understand that in education, you've got to first stand with parents because it's their child, not the government's child. But on top of that, high expectations and multiple pathways and choices for parents lead to better outcomes. They can't win on any policy issues, and therefore they're running at this preserve power in any way possible, and hang yourself out there supporting a guy like Jay Jones in order to try to squeak by. Well, listen, Virginia voters are waking up. As I said, these races have gotten a lot tighter. There's a lot of momentum, and you can just feel it when you're campaigning. But we got a lot of work to do. We got to get everybody out to vote.
Yes.
Well, the thing we did in 2021 is we had so many people come out to vote, many more than in 2017.
Yep.
And guess what? They voted for the Republican candidates. And we got to do the exact same thing. And that's our big message right now. Everywhere I'm going, I'm saying, listen, folks, get out and vote.
Grab your neighbor.
Because otherwise you can't complain because you sat on the sidelines.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, look, these off-year elections have a national import of some, Democrats, if they win, it all of a sudden becomes the front page of every newspaper. If a Republican wins, like Mr. Youngkin over here, it's like, I don't know. It's a unique local circumstance.
Just a blip.
Yeah, unique local circumstance. But as you look at this, I think this is such a bigger component to politics nationally, in that you do have this moment in time where you've got a Democratic Party that has, if not embraced violence, they've certainly been unwilling to confront political violence.
Yeah.
And you've got somebody like Jason Miyares is a perfect example, right? He's done the job, good guy. He's smart. Hard to just assail anything about the job that
He's been an amazing attorney general.
He really has. Yeah. But you look at the message it would send if somebody like Jay Jones saying and doing the things that he had done, and Abigail Spanberger refusing to confront any of that. What is the message nationwide for center of the electorate voters to say, like, I don't know, I mean, Democrats think that they can just be violent as hell and they don't have to do anything about it and win. I mean, you've got to feel that burden at some level.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And we feel that burden not only for the moral compass of Virginia and America, but also for the men and women that go to work every day to try to keep us safe. I mean, think about it. I was yesterday with our big gang task force that runs across Virginia, but also in collaboration with a number of states. And there was 500-600 of these heroes who were gathered to work on anti-gang, anti-drug, anti-human trafficking efforts. And I was looking at him when I was speaking with him, just thinking, none of you will go work for an attorney general who wants to see a few cops die or wants to see children die or wants to put a bullet in somebody's head. And none of you will go work for a governor who doesn't have the backbone to disavow and to remove that kind of candidate. And listen to what these folks go through every day. They get up in the morning and they put on a bulletproof vest, they kiss their family goodbye, and they go to work.
And they try to
and
keep
they have
us
no
safe.
idea what's going to go on during the day, and they keep us safe. And that deserves such a level of respect and admiration, but also service on behalf of an elected official. And that's why this whole circumstance is just rotten to the core. It speaks to the worst of the Democrat Party and what they stand for. And that's why I've just been so adamant, Virginians, you got to get up off the sofa. You got to get out and vote, because this is what's at stake.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell how invested you are in this. And, like a lot of people who are walking out the door, they're like, hey, Yeah. We'll see what happens after this. You're just not, and it's because of what you built and what you ran on and the continuation of the progress. My last question, awful lot of government workers in Northern Virginia. Obviously, anybody with any understanding in what's happening with this government shutdown will know that Chuck Schumer, gauging the same thing that Abigail Spanberger is doing, looking at an increasingly violent base, has decided to put all of those people in jeopardy to protect his own political, whatever that is.
So he doesn't get primaried by AOC, he thinks.
Yeah, right? And so what is the message to those people to understand that this is, you literally have just 6 Democrats in the United States Senate that are preventing you from going to work, putting your job into jeopardy. And that is a huge number of people when you look at the context of a election turnout that we're about to have.
It is. First of all, it is a incredibly sad statement that we find ourselves in a moment where one guy's political ambition, Chuck Schumer's, can be holding the entire nation, not just the federal workforce, but the entire nation hostage.
Yeah.
And right now, we find ourselves in a position where not only do we not have air traffic controllers and TSA workers going to work every day, the military is getting paid right now because of the huge work from President Trump to make sure they get paid, but that can't go on forever. Law enforcement personnel, they're trying to work out how to get them paid, because I was talking to the administration this week, but that's really tough. They figured out how to deal a little bit with WIC benefits, but SNAP benefits are basically the food source for 42 million Americans.
And you're twisting yourself into a pretzel trying to make sure this stuff works because one guy's worried about his primary challenge.
That's it. And yet, we find ourselves now knowing exactly what they're doing because they're saying it. I mean, listen, you saw this congresswoman yesterday say, we know it hurts, but we have to use our leverage.
They're thinking of people as leverage.
American people being used as leverage, that's a hostage. That's the definition of a hostage.
That's right.
Hungry people in America who need food assistance aren't going to get it because Chuck Schumer and his band of merry folks are trying to progress a political point. Listen, they got to get this government back open. This morning I signed a declaration of emergency in Virginia in order to provide food assistance for Virginians who were suffering under the Democrat shutdown. And then I called on our entire congressional delegation, and particularly our 2 senators, Mark Warner and Tim Kaine, and I called on them personally. Vote yes. Open up the government. You voted yes 13 times in the Biden administration. And now that you're sitting there playing political calculus with Chuck Schumer, and you are using Virginians who are in need of food assistance as a hostage? I mean, you talk about where the moral compass is of the Democrat Party. I mean, they are so lost. And that's why Americans more and more and more are saying, wait a minute, I can't trust these people. I'm not like these folks. They believe in things that I couldn't begin to even contemplate. And that's why we do see Americans moving more and more and more to basic common sense leadership that we're trying to show as Republicans. And that is the future of the country. That's what we've proven over and over again.
Listen, it's well said. I got to say, you're one of the best people in politics. You got into it for the right reasons. Lord knows you would have more fun on a golf course just for a personal standpoint than you
Have you seen my golf game? It is not pretty. And I'm always worried about the people around me when I'm playing.
Fair enough. But you got into it for all the right reasons. You've done a hell of a job. I love that you're running through the tape like this. Come back and see us anytime. Everybody in Virginia got to go vote.
Go vote. Go vote. Go vote.
Go vote. Glenn Youngkin, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, fellas, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome.
He's Donald Trump's #1 enemy in Congress, Chicago politician Dick Durbin. Now, Durbin has a new scheme. He's doing the dirty work to benefit corporate megastores. Durbin's bill could cut corners on your credit card security, putting your personal data at risk. Big chain retailers and warehouse stores want to inflate their profits, and liberal Dick Durbin would help them do it. Tell senators, say no to the megastores and Dick Durbin. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
What a treat to have the governor of Virginia on the show just 1 week out from the big election. I think he made some news in that interview, and he went right after Jay Jones. He went right after Abigail Spanberger for refusing to condemn Jay Jones and all of his violent texts.
Yeah, you know, my observation was exactly that, in that you've got this hugely successful person in Glenn Youngkin. His resume speaks for itself. It was part of the reason why he was in the conversation for governor in the first place, having no political footprint at all before this. But given his entire background and knowing he's term limited after 4 years, I was surprised at just how invested he is at protecting not only what it is that they were able to accomplish, but being a part of the campaign cycle. Like, so many people with the profile of Glenn Youngkin are people who will look at this election in a blue state, in an off-year election where your party controls everything, no real chance or good chance of winning, and try to distance themselves a little bit. Be like, hey, I'm proud of what we did, and, you know, hopefully we can do all this, but, like, look at our record and whatnot. He didn't. And I think that, look, that's a big feather in his cap as far as I'm concerned, of people who you want in that fight, even when their own skin is not in the game. It's not like legacy mode.
Well, I think it also speaks to the momentum, I think, that Virginia Republicans see in the fallout of the Jay Jones text scandal and everything like that. And everybody's committed to running through the tape. I mean, if you can go out and early vote, if you live in Virginia right now, and again, Election Day next Tuesday.
Yeah. No, it's well said. It's well said. Listen, we always do a question of the day. When you like and subscribe to the Ruthless Variety Program, do that right now if you haven't already, and then you leave a comment. We read absolutely every one of them, all four of us and the producers, and then we carefully cultivate a handful that we think are representative of some of the takes that you all have, and we get back to the very next episode. Our question from last week was, what do you think should get more coverage? This was a question that was proposed by Brett Baer when he joined us on Friday. Terrific that he opened the floor to it. We couldn't improve on it, so we left it up to you. And this is what you've come up with. To do that, we always start with a voice.
Okay, first comment comes from Cole Garrett. Cole writes, can we get a deportation clock like the national debt clock? Man, I love this idea.
That's a great idea.
That is a great idea.
Cole continues, just ticks up as we continue to unwind the Biden-era disaster. Just a terrific idea from Cole Garrett.
I like that. All right, comment 2, Dunks or Unks.
Comment number 2. This is from John Button. John writes, I think the story of our time is the vast educational, institutional complex designed to turn our country into a socialist nation. The young adults of NYC are poised to elect a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. It starts in grade school and goes through college.
That's right.
I think an expose on how much pro-socialism material the average student is exposed to would be very useful for this country.
That's the truth.
Totally true. And look, I think that there's been a number, like Rufo and others in recent years, who've used social media platforms and a growing audience outside of mainstream media to make this an issue. Everything coming out of COVID. And I think they've made this top of mind for most conservatives. It would be terrific if, like, your average boomer lib that watches broadcast news was just reminded in some way of what the rest of us know by consuming content outside of the major nets in that space.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, by the way, I know you're a lib and nothing that Donald Trump can be doing is something of satisfaction, but did you know that your kindergarten grandchildren are being...
I don't think they care, dude. I
really?
swear to you, I don't think they care. I think even I'm talking about your, like, quote, garden variety lib who's watching the, like, NBC nightly news. I think they're down with it all.
Really?
100%.
That's so depressing.
It is.
Oh, it's depressing, but we soldier on here on the Ruthless Friday program. Comment 3, Smug, what do we have?
Comment 3 is from Cindy Brewer. Cindy writes, the story that needs to be reported is the non-story that Dems keep repeating about ICE. Their talking points about innocent Americans getting deported and kids getting zip-tied is belied by their lack of evidence in a world where everybody videos through phones, ring cams, and dashboard cams. They tried to put the Maryland dad out as a poster child, and that failed miserably. Their lies are not reported enough. And that's a great point, because they put out these, like, Maryland dad lies, and they're so invested in the lie, they never do the, like, oh, editor's note, we were wrong. This guy was actually like a gang member. You know what I mean? Like the media feels zero need to go back, correct their mistakes, and apologize. And that's, I think, 100% of why we're in the media environment we're in.
Dude, it's actually a good point. It just got me thinking. Like, it would be really nice, and I don't know if this is a broadcast thing or if it's whatever it is, but there's people treat fact checks they're notoriously horrible. But like the way that they've treated them are much like they treat breaking news. Like the quicker the better. And that's not the way that facts work, because it does take time to show. Like Russiagate, good example, right? All the allegations are out there splashed. So you got senators, you got Adam Schiff, you got all these people alleging all kinds of. It takes an unwinding of several years to show what a lie it had all become. But there should be an impetus once you find out what the absolute fact is, given the amount of time that you dedicated to the initial story, to have as much time allotted to how wrong it was.
Like an equal time.
Yeah.
In politics rule. That would be so, and the thing is that like, that's such a good point, because we saw how much that essentially poisoned half this country, thinking that Donald Trump works for Putin and that shit. It's still today. Like they've done zero effort in trying to be like, turns out all the Russia shit was fake.
Yeah, but don't fix it. Mainstream media do not fix it, because that's why
that's
the
our
Ruthless
bread and
Variety program is so successful.
It's our bread and butter. No question. That's why you come here.
Don't worry, Michael. They never will.
Yep.
They never will.
They know they won't. And even under penalty of law, these people are too far gone. There's no question about it. So when we come back, we're going to give you how a major Democratic ally in all of politics has broken with Senate Democrats on this shutdown fight. Will it change things or not? You may have even forgotten there was a shutdown. We haven't. We're watching it for you so you don't have to right after this. So there's a guy who runs Punch Bowl named Jake Sherman, who's notorious at being able to decipher important information on Capitol Hill from all of the noise. Yeah. And they created an entire publication around it. And so amongst the first things that pop up for me in the morning are like what he's saying about stuff and as it relates to Capitol Hill. And I saw a big sort of breaking tweet from him. Big news from NBC News. American Federation of Government Employees says it's time to pass a clean CR and open the government.
Oh.
So AFGE, which is this union, says both sides have made their point, but Democrats have said they're not trying to make a point when they want to enact change. I guess the point that they're trying to make is this has gone on long enough.
Like, come on. Everyone knows this simple fact. They've voted for this same thing countless times. 12 times. This is them just being obstinate of trying to show their grassroots. Please don't guillotine us. We reported that last week. It's over. It's done.
Yeah, and this is a union with major SWAT in Democratic politics. They donate millions of dollars to Democratic campaigns. They lobby millions of dollars on Capitol Hill. They represent, I think, over 800,000 federal employees.
Also, just wrap your mind around the fact.
Yeah, that's brain warping.
That there is a union entirely comprised of people who make their paycheck off of your tax dollar, and then this union is lobbying against you.
Yeah.
Which is
the union that lobbies against you.
But it's the most significant crack in the Democrat armor since this shutdown began, and Jake Sherman is the only one who is reporting this. And
NBC did the initial report.
NBC mentioned it, but Jake Sherman, who's basically the Adam Schefter of Capitol Hill News,
that's right,
is the only one who's pushing it forward. The Washington Post is kind of burying it. In fact, the Washington Post, which is the paper of record for the city of Washington, D.C., where the United States Capitol lives, I don't think can be salvaged unless they hire a brand new executive editor, and the man to do the job is Dale Duncan. I think that Michael's dad is the only guy living who can save that paper.
He's not wrong. Honestly, I'm surprised that the Washington Post even exists at this point. Like at the end of last year, basically everyone left. Like Dossie left. Like, all their heavy hitters are gone, dude. There's no one working there anymore.
Well, I noticed they had a whole bunch of stories about how, like, well, House Republicans' messaging is not working for them. And it was like, what the hell are you talking about?
What does that have to do with anything?
No, I mean, what are you talking about? Like, this is now a 3-week-long standoff on Capitol Hill where one party is representing the thing that both parties have done for the last 50 years when they can't come to an agreement on a budget. And the other party is like, no, other things.
Right.
And like the polling has gone from an obvious Democratic advantage when people just knew that Republicans control government and it was shut down to like examining facts. And like you can see this shrinking on a day-to-day basis of people being like, what?
Right.
You mean that they could just reopen it with the same budget that Biden wrote
And
the year
we
before?
talked about this for the last few weeks on the Variety program about how the coalition on the left is fraying. And Ashbrook had previously mentioned that there's these two things in tension, which is like the radical left-wing activist grassroots base, right, who wants to burn it all down because Trump bad, right?
Right.
And then there's an establishment, a permanent establishment in Washington, D.C. that works for the federal government that votes blue no matter who, but they also want to be paid.
Right. And the power of the federal employees union should not be overlooked here. And I think so. They're 6 votes away in the Senate to be able to reopen the government. Just six Democrats need to vote to reopen the government. And you got to think that the 2 Democrats in Virginia, who represent a lot of federal employees, the 2 Democrats in Maryland, who also represent a lot of federal employees, that get you 4 more votes. So I can't understand for the life of me why the 4 of them wouldn't vote to reopen the government on the 13th iteration of this CR, and then you just need 2 more Democrats. Maybe John Ossoff, who is in a race in Georgia for his life and is,
You saw some cracks in the armor when they tried to do the individual pay thing, where Ossoff and Warnock are trying to protect Ossoff's political viability because he's got his ass hanging out in Georgia, and people are ready to throw him out of office. Like there is a bunch of things that are starting to. You won't read that in the paper, though.
No.
You won't read that in the paper. That's why you got to tune into the Ruthless Variety program.
Exactly.
We're doing some math for you.
You might read it in the paper if Dale Duncan is given the
You
executive
might,
editor role.
because he would.
Why would you do that to him? He lives a wonderful life.
He does. He would no longer. He would never consider.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. So it leads us to our question of the day. When you like and subscribe to the Ruthless Variety program and you leave a comment, we read absolutely all of them. And this question of the day is, will the Democrats finally cave? Like, is this it? Will they cave? We have maintained that there will be a cave at some point because there's no other way. And they're the only ones that represent a constituency of government, like literally of government. Like a key constituency of the Democratic Party is just government. And if you shut it down, like you're neglecting a pretty big constituency. It's not a Republican constituency. Will it cave? Give us your best thoughts on all of that. And what would it take if it's not the government union? Like you give us, that's an addendum to this. Who has to come out in favor of a clean CR, do you think, before? This is where you get funny, for the Democrats to reopen this thing.
Yeah.
So get to all of that. While you mentioned the 2 constituencies, the establishment component, which is now like, just open this thing up, it's over. And then you have like the kayfabe crew who is like, no, we show fight, we do things, and we don't care about stuff, but we care about it. And that is represented perfectly by Eric Swalwell.
Yes.
Here he is in graphic 4. Don't even think of seeking the Democratic nomination for president unless you pledge to take a wrecking ball to the Trump ballroom on day 1.
Jeez. Oh, my goodness, dude. I saw this tweet. I know you guys have some hilarious takes, but I couldn't help myself but think maybe Fang's influence over Swalwell has not concluded because nobody wants to tear down a part of the White House more than China. And Eric Swalwell is still channeling his ex-girlfriend in a way that I don't think any of us really expected.
You think she allegedly slipped back into the covers?
She could have.
Interesting.
She might still be there.
Interesting.
I think what I find most interesting about this tweet is it is sort of like Lincoln Project brain politics.
Yes.
Like Democrats in the Trump era, instead of actually trying to deliver on policy victories for their various representative constituencies, would just invent these new fantastical litmus tests to try to mobilize their activist base. I remember in 2020 on the debate stage, Kamala Harris proudly, proclaiming I'm calling on Twitter to ban Donald Trump. Who's with me? And it's like, boy, man, that is just delivering for the American people right there. Way to go. Yeah. But that is really most of their politics now. It's just this fantastical stuff. None of it is real.
That's it 100%. That's a perfect diagnosis of the problem with the Democrats is because there's no leadership. They're being led around by a bunch of lunatic grassroots activists. Their whole party is based on one metric of success, and that's not getting any policy wins, that's attention. So that's why their side is essentially just not legislators, it's influencers. It's like a whole, you've got AOC. It's who can get the highest TikTok numbers, not who can actually deliver policy wins to my constituents. Right. I've said this a million times. You can either try to make a point or you can try to make a difference.
You definitely
and right now the Democrats are I want to make a point. I want to make a TikTok video. And this is what you end up with.
But one other thing on the Trump ballroom, and if you're not read into this story, I don't blame you. But the Democrats are very angry that Donald Trump wants to build a beautiful ballroom in the White House so when you have events, you don't have to be intense on the, on the
Which
lawn.
is the current case.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And Holmes and I were talking about this the other day. It's the funniest part of all this is this is one of the most selfless things Donald Trump's ever done.
100%.
He doesn't even get to enjoy it. Maybe this thing gets built in 2028 and he gets to enjoy it a little bit, but literally he's taking all the slings and arrows on this thing that every other future president gets to enjoy.
Yep. Well, and they all called for and all wanted some part of the complex to be able to have a state dinner.
Yeah.
He's one doing it, but he's also living through the construction. I mean, for those of you who've done a renovation on a house,
not fun.
That is not a fun thing, but that's what he's living through right up into the point where he has to exit the office and he doesn't get to enjoy it at all.
Poor guy's going to be in the Oval and it's beep, 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 backing up excavators in his backyard.
And Eric Swalwell, 100%, whenever some Democrat is elected down the road, will take a selfie inside of that ballroom.
100%.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, completely. One last observation on this, which is I think today's Democratic Party has been beaten down so badly by Donald Trump. And they're so aloof and indifferent to the American people that they just learn all the wrong lessons at some level. And the genius of Donald Trump is having this entire theater that goes along with who he is and what he says and the things that he does, the flamboyant stuff that no other president or politician before him has done, that attracts attention away from policy victory, policy victory, policy victory. Those things are happening in real time. So the Democrats look at his political success and they adopt the former without the latter.
That's right.
Right? Where they just adopt the circus, not knowing that the circus is in service to the policy, which is getting done, that they aren't paying attention to because they're talking about the fucking ballroom.
Right. That's exactly.
You know what I mean?
Trump's theater is on such a different level. He is Broadway every single time, and Democrats are just down here waiting for Guffman.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Sad.
Totally right. One last thing we got to get to. Graphic 5, please.
Yes.
Yes. This was such an insane thing to do. For our audio-only listeners, again, you're missing out. You should go to the YouTube, hit the subscribe, because this is just deranged. So this was a tweet that was sent out by the Cincinnati Bengals because they were playing the Jets, and it's a photo that they've created of Joe Flacco in piloting a plane aimed at New York City.
No, I actually think it's aimed at Paycor, their own stadium.
Wait, is it? I think it's aimed at New York City, dude.
No.
I think it's aimed at New York City. They're trying to send a message. This is a threat.
Whatever.
Before we knew that the Bengals were a failed enterprise and a failed sports team, but now maybe they're terrorists and should be jailed. I think this is something we should take a look at. This isn't normal behavior. This is weird behavior. And that can't be the Cincinnati skyline because those are buildings. There's nothing in Cincinnati.
Ashbrook, what do you have to say for yourself?
You guys are coming at your friend at his weakest. My poor Bengals. I've got an eye on free agency and then next year's draft.
Man, I think it's a good rule of thumb for any NFL franchise if you're playing the New York Jets not to pilot a jet into a city.
Yeah, don't. That's not a good shot.
I feel like
Not
that's
good
a
shot.
tough look, no matter what.
My God.
That's a tough.
And then the toughest look of all is actually losing.
Yeah, to the
Jets.
winless, hapless New York Jets.
Yeah, it was a difficult Sunday afternoon for me.
Oh, man.
But I'm
All
glad
right.
your guys' teams are doing well.
Listen, we have an awful lot to discuss on the issue of funding and who is funding this insane Democratic Party, because that goes a lot into the Swalwell versus the government employees debate and why some of the more illogical decisions that today's Democrats make more sense. To do that, we always talk to Caitlin Sutherland. So you've heard us talk a lot about no kings, and you've talked, we've had discussions about the funding mechanisms in the modern Democrat Party, which is nefarious to say the least. But in order to put a fine point on that, we always bring in one woman, Caitlin Sutherland, Executive Director of Americas for Public Trust.
Thank you.
How
for
are
having
you?
Me. Good. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, of course.
Talk all things money and politics.
I mean, we read what's reported. We do our own research on a bunch of things. But when we need to dive underneath and actually find out who's funding these things, you're the only person we
Yeah,
call.
absolutely. I mean, I know every day you wake up, you're like, who's funding Gays for Gaza?
Yeah.
Who are all these?
Yeah.
How does everybody have a matching tent for these pro-Hamas protests on these college campuses?
An amazing coincidence.
Well, look at that. Who funded these so-called, these organic protests over the weekend?
Yeah.
And so when it comes to all things follow the money, that's what we love unveiling at Americans for Public Trust. And what we've determined, it's quite a bit of foreign money behind all these liberal dark money groups that are all around D.C.
That's unbelievable.
It is.
I mean, genuinely incredible. Masquerading as this sort of domestic uprising. Foreign money has gotten into this.
Yes, it's a huge problem, and it fills these dark money network coffers. And the fact that foreign money can come, we've talked about it before, it can come into ballot issues, it's coming into these advocacy campaigns, it's coming into climate litigation, it's coming into voter education efforts. It's a huge rampant problem on the local, state, and federal level, and more reforms are needed because it's so bad when you're seeing how the foreign money can come in and affect our politics here in America.
Yeah, and we covered the No Kings rally and the sources of some of their funding through George Soros, and we've obviously talked a lot about Hansborg Weiss on this show,
Which they did.
Which
we
you
would
did.
not have known about that if not for the good work.
But
of
it's
the
our
organization.
understanding that you have a new name
Yes.
that's emerged in funding these left-wing organizations. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about this new guy.
Yeah, so we've talked about our, Smug's favorite Swiss billionaire, Hans-Jörg Wyss.
Yeah.
Sorry he can't join us today. About the hundreds of millions that he has poured into the Arabella Advisors Network, all these, environmental groups around town. And, we've gotten some questions like, what else do you have? Yeah, he's a Swiss billionaire. In fact, one time I had a reporter, I won't say the outlet, it rhymes with Schlumberg, but they said, well, he's from Switzerland. Is that so bad?
No way.
Unbelievable.
Man,
Yes.
Are you kidding?
Absolutely. And I didn't know what to say. And, it was that almost, that J.D. Vance, like, I don't really care, Margaret. Like, I don't really care. I don't really care that this guy is from Switzerland. And what I said, I was like, I don't care if they're the Canadians, our friendly neighbors to the north. Foreign money has no place in our politics.
Totally.
But, I was like, okay, fine. Yes, we have Hans-Jörg Wyss. He's from Switzerland. He is the floor, not the ceiling of the problem that we have. So we were able to determine that there is a British billionaire. His name is Sir Christopher Hone.
Oh, he's a sir?
Yes, he is a sir. He's
We
very
knighted
proper.
this
Yes,
gentleman.
yes.
Okay.
He is knighted. He is a British billionaire, a foreign national, and an activist hedge fund manager, and he runs a completely unknown charity called the Children's Investment Fund Foundation. Right? What a great name! It
Right.
must be helping the children,
Yeah,
right?
right.
You think, oh, children. Well, he's British. He's
Can't
helping
argue
the
with
children.
that. It's about children.
It's maybe orphans. I don't know, clean water.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Whatever the opposite of whatever he's funding, it's coming in to U.S.-based organizations and 501c3s and C4s. We were able to trace that over $550 million in foreign money has come from his UK-based charity into U.S.-based organizations.
$550 million?
Yes, that we've been able to, and only in the last 10 years. So that is just a small sample size of the problem that we have of foreign money coming in and undermining our democracy.
I mean, to contextualize that, that is a third of the entirety of Kamala Harris's presidential campaign.
Right. You're talking about a dark money ecosystem that can far dwarf actual political campaigns themselves.
Yeah.
What sort of organizations are we talking about that he's funding?
Yeah, they're very well-known organizations to all of us here. Tides.
Yeah.
No surprise there.
Shocker.
The Arabella Advisors Network. No surprise there. NRDC, the Environmental Defense Fund, very well-known organizations around DC. And you might be listening and think, I've literally never heard of any of those organizations. You may not know those organizations, but you know the policies. The foreign money is bankrolling these extremist policies in the United States. I mentioned climate litigation. They want to ban gas stoves. I mean, these disruptive protests, it's coming in and it's using foreign money to fund all of these activist policies, ideas, and actions in the United States.
Well, we talked about this a little bit in terms of No Kings, in that it became obvious the Tides Foundation played a role in that, and the organization of it was significant. For those of us who do this for a living, you saw that there was organization, to say the least, and it wasn't just about obtaining permits, it was driving turnout, making sure that you had all the requisite bells and whistles of protests that they attempted to do. You're telling me that at some level, the money that came into these organizations was likely foreign?
Absolutely. And again, we know it from Hans-Jörg Wyss, who is a top donor into Indivisible. He's given millions of dollars to Indivisible. They were the ones, mostly the source of funding behind the No Kings rally. So it's not just Soros, it's foreign money as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of those other, sponsors of the No Kings rally have been funded by not just Christopher Hone, but other foreign charities. So they are using money to fund these protests. And what's interesting about our laws is, as you know, foreign money is only illegal when it comes to our elections.
Yes.
Really only limited to candidates and super PACs. Guess what's not regulated by the FEC?
Yeah.
Issue advocacy campaigns, voter education, protests. So there's these huge loopholes on the state and federal level that actually allow foreign money to bankroll all of these activities.
So you can organize a protest that is ostensibly a public issue of concern under this rubric, where everybody shows up and they're like, the hell with Trump, vote Republicans out. And you're like, it's just, this is what our organization did. People are going to do what they're going to do. And that's all under current law, fine.
Absolutely. For by and large, yes, because, we've all worked on campaigns, that it's not just the candidate and the super PAC that allows you to win on election day.
Yeah.
You cannot win without all these outside groups that are the 501c3s and the 501c4s. You cannot tell me you can win today without C3s and C4s on the outside, doing voter registration, voter education, all the GOTV campaigns, and that can be funded by foreign money. It's a huge loophole that we're working to close.
Well, and you've had some success. I mean, it sounds like once you uncovered this cat,
yes,
they got a little nervous about it.
Immediately. The Brits scare easily, apparently. So there was just a few negative articles about him, and Christopher Hone was like, okay, we're done. Oh. We're not funding. After bankrolling, like I said, over $500 million, he says we are ceasing funding of these liberal nonprofit groups, mostly focused on climate in the United States. So he has announced that they are pausing the funding almost assuredly forever because of the scrutiny from the foreign funding and where we were able to uncover the money was ending up.
What a dub.
Yeah, it's incredible. And just to think that, like, when you talk about an issue like climate, right, that you could have foreign nationals in places like Europe, or heaven forbid, a place like China, trying to control domestic American energy production in this country.
Yes.
And you see everything that's gone over, with Europe, with, the energy crisis that they had there, and then with the Ukraine-Russia war.
Being reliant upon
your adversary for natural gas, the idea that these same foreign nationals could influence our domestic energy policy is a terrifying thing.
Yeah, 100%. But it seems to me like you've uncovered what is the best deterrent for an awful lot of these people, and that you have got an organization, the one that you run, that is bringing this to light, and immediately they're uncomfortable with that.
Yeah. Well, it's so important to have this dialogue to shine a light on who's actually funding all of these groups. And when it comes to foreign sources of funding, you can regulate the foreign money, that you can say, no more foreign money into ballot issues. Let's shine a light on the foreign money coming into our colleges and universities. And the next step is, what about the foreign money coming into these liberal, dark money nonprofits around town that are turning around and engaging in all these issue advocacy and voter education campaigns? Because it offends your senses when you realize that foreign money, by and large, can fund everything that we're talking about.
Are we getting to any sort of these reforms on the state level with things like foreign funding of ballot initiatives and stuff? I know we talked about this a lot in the run-up to the 2024 election. Is there progress being made there?
Yeah, we've talked about this before. There's huge progress when it comes to cutting off foreign funding of ballot issues. Almost 10 states in the last year have said absolutely not, which is so crucial because right now, in a lot of these competitive states, they're gathering the signatures to qualify for the ballot in 2026. And the fact that in a lot of these states, you can't use foreign funding is so great for our democracy. And just recently, Senator Jim Banks of Indiana introduced legislation on the federal level that would say no foreign funding of ballot issues. But more needs to be done. That's why we're so encouraged by this report and more reports coming out about the problem that is the foreign funding of our politics and policies. We really hope to work with, I'll work with everybody, but, the local, state, and federal level to, turn off some of these sources of foreign funding.
I'd love to see a debate on that.
Yeah, I would too. I would too. It's such an important topic. And I mean, you mentioned some of these ballot initiatives in the early stages of signing people up to vote. We all know what they used the No Kings rallies for. They used them for giant voter registration, vote gathering, and GOTV efforts. It was a guise. We know what their activists were doing underneath the headline and lead of every story. And so I wonder if, like, you think what you're doing can actually stop this, like,
foreign
activity.
influence in what was supposed to be, at least by the spirit of the law, something that's not allowed.
Right, which is probably why they weren't talking about it.
Yeah.
Publicly.
Yeah.
Well, you talk a lot, these 80-20 issues and how much Trump just, picks an 80 issue and is like, I'm going to take the 20%. Let's talk about foreign interference in our elections. That's not even an 80-20 issue. That's like a 90-10 issue. And public polling has actually showed that how popular it is. And time again, the left is like, nope. Yeah. I'm actually going to, Mark Elias, the left's #1 attorney, has actually sued us in multiple states trying to object to these laws that are prohibiting the foreign funding. So you put a popular issue, put a common sense issue about, like, let's not have any foreign funding in our elections, in our politics. Someone's going to be on that wrong side of the issue working to stop it because, as you said, they're benefiting from this foreign money. Take a look. We examined 10 years worth of Christopher Hohn's giving in the United States, about $500 million. Not a single center-right organization was on that list. It is all the liberal groups. And I got asked about that. Someone said, hey, what about any conservative groups that are getting foreign money? I said, well, I looked at hundreds of groups, and it's not just Christopher Hohn, it's not just Hangzher Wies, it's other foreign charities. And I told him, who's not on it? Right to Life. They're not on it. There's no center-right groups that are on this list receiving the foreign money. Now, if they were, they also shouldn't get foreign money, but they're not. It is a problem that almost exclusively happens on the left because they're benefiting from it. They're benefiting from the foreign money with their voter turnout operation and everything else that is bankrolling their unpopular and dangerous policies.
Very funny, though, for a British national to be funding a No Kings.
It was actually called,
have a king.
It was called the No Tyrants protest. Yes. There was an important caveat.
I noticed that they had notes.
Yes.
Yeah. There were notes on that. Your kings.
We're okay with those.
Yeah.
So, listen, you guys have made an enormous impact in what it is that you're doing by bringing these things to light. People like this who decide, like, I don't want the heat. I got to get out of the kitchen. There's legislation now. You're doing stuff on the state-based level. Like, what's next? What are you guys focused on next?
Always following the money and always showing who is the one that's influencing our politics and policy, whether or not it's domestic sources or foreign. Right now, we're really focused on the foreign because some good regulation can come from it. And we'll actually be putting out a report soon showing that we've identified almost $2 billion in foreign, $2 billion with a B, coming into liberal nonprofits in the United States from just 5 foreign charities. So think about that. Just a very small sample, just 5 foreign charities, $2 billion. And again, the center-right organizations are not on that. It's the left that is benefiting from the foreign money, and it's the left that does not want it to stop.
See, this is what it is such a perfect encapsulation because it hits all my buttons about, you hear people talk about, there's too much money in politics, and like I can't disagree with that. But then you look at presidential elections. Kamala Harris had the biggest cash bonfire in history with $1.5 billion spent in 107 days, far outspending what Donald Trump did. But then you hear about what's actually going for the infrastructure of the Democrat left.
Right.
And what they are doing to the tune of $2 billion for climate stuff, for No Kings rallies, and all these other things that wrap into the larger argument that they try to make to the American people. And it's like, dude, the problem is not campaign contributions. This is the problem.
Absolutely. And that's why we're going to see some really, really smart, narrowly tailored reforms to get rid of the foreign money that is coming into the United States.
Yeah, it's really well done. You've done such great work on this stuff. Caitlin Sutherland, I can't thank you enough for your work and what it is that you guys are doing. When you come out with that report, come on back and give us a summary of all that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, she is on top of absolutely every thread of foreign money that's coming into this country, and it seems like she has a path to actually stop it from happening in the future.
It is interesting.
And it's interesting that, like, it seems like every 6 months we learn the name of some new obscure foreign billionaire who's funding the Democratic Party. Like, how does this keep happening?
It would be one thing.
They got a hell of a farm system. They're like, all right, we hit the Swiss. Let's get another guy up to bat. Like, what?
The funny thing is like the ROI on those dollars. I mean, the money is historic.
Dude, it's legit like in Batman. They're just setting money on fire because they want to see the world burn.
But Democrats look at Euros and they're like, hey, if they're gonna fund Greta's flotilla into Gaza, they're gonna fund anything. Easy
That's
marks.
hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Everything is just counterintuitive and insane, and these people fund it all. It never really works, thank God. But I do appreciate the effort because it does make a difference. Yep. And it does tell you a little bit about why Democrats act the way that they do. Remember our question of the day, will Democrats finally cave? Add a little color on that when you like and subscribe to what would it take as a constituency to come out for a clean CR in order for them to cave. If it's not government employees, what is it? I know you've got some great ideas on that. When you leave a comment, we read absolutely all of them. We'll get back to you on Thursday with all of that. Like and subscribe to the Ruthless Variety program. With that, fellas, I think we did it.
I think so. Absolute banger of an episode. Gentlemen, thank you so much, Governor Youngkin. Thank you so much to Caitlin Sutherland. And like Holmes said, go to the YouTube, hit that subscribe because it's more fun in video. So until next time, minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you on Thursday. Stay ruthless.